What's up?
Yes.
I mean, if one day you and I are both going to be in the studio today,
One of these
Kyle's
days.
on a rooftop somewhere in another country. I'm down here back in my office for the first time in a couple weeks, and we have some news, and we have some energy, and we spent some time yesterday in New York City. All the good and all the bad. All the good and all the bad.
You had to say the second half. There was a lot of good. So we talked about we were going to this welcome conference, and one of the opening speakers was just incredibly dynamic, was playing piano on stage in the middle of her speech. But I think the thing that got me the most was, and you and I have been following and listening to, and a lot of our thesis comes from Donald Miller. He's a big influence on how we think about story, and like just ever reminded that weaving a story narrative through everything we do. And like, I just started thinking about all the dealers that I know and all the industry partners and everybody that is working to communicate who they are, what they do, why they do it to everybody else in the industry or everybody else in a community, and reminding ourselves that like narrative, story, art is important even in business.
Always.
So yeah, that was the highlight for me.
It is, I've seen Don a number of times, but of all the people that we saw yesterday, definitely that principle. Again, and he said, this is the story framework for every story you've ever seen, and it's never going to change.
My favorite line, he says it all the time. He's like, I'm going to ruin every movie for you. Right?
Yeah, let me ruin every movie. Right. Well, there is certainly a lot of hustle and bustle. We're going to talk a little more about the stuff that we send. Definitely the hospitality mindset. This framework that we communicate within ASOTU world. Love people more than you love cars. Talking about that, it's about more than the cars. It's about more than what we're doing. Highlighting the people that are doing it really, really well, so other people can learn from it, grow and evolve. Because the consumer is looking for things that we may not be tuned into. It's kind of like a radio wave, right? Like they're all there in the air right now, but we don't hear any of them because we're not tuned in. So we're gonna hope to push that narrative forward and just raise the awareness. We have things coming up. You and I are going to be at the ATAE, all the trade associations, communications people get together in Austin. You and I are giving a little opening talk there. That's going to be so much fun. Going to be at VinQ Unleashed. We're gonna be filming new More Than Cars episodes. Half of our team is out at the. Am I saying this yet? I'm not saying it. Am I saying it?
I mean, it's on social.
Okay, it's on social. Rorman Auto Group. More Than Cars season 2. We're doing pre-production right now. We have did we talk about the other ones too?
We didn't talk about the other ones, just that one.
Okay, I'm
not
not going to talk about
the other ones.
No. So there's a lot coming.
Don't spoil everything. You know what I mean?
Listen,
give them a little something to look for.
If you are thinking about these things that we're talking about, you want to be involved, you want your store to be involved, hit us up at crew@asotu.com and let us know, because we have some things going together that we can, partner up and do something special. And we're on IMDb now. I saw it for the first time. The movie. Cool. We're on there now, so that's good. Go. And we're also gearing up for some new webinars. We have a webinar coming up on the 25th, right? It's next week.
Yeah.
Right. Don't miss the signals. How unresolved complaints turn into compliance nightmares. Ooh. I think we need this because compliance nightmare is not something anybody wants. You can just go to asotu.com. You can see the registration link. We have a lot of fun on these things, 20, 30-minute quick shot webinars. Sign up, be with us, haggle us, whatever you want to do. We can handle it. We'll answer live questions too. Let's talk about some news.
Let's do it.
All right, Volkswagen is ceasing to originate U.S. auto loans for Audi and VW through in-house finance division. Instead, they are going to be flipping all this to Wells Fargo starting in April 2025. Basically, Wells Fargo is going to be responsible for processing all the loan applications, underwriting, servicing, and basically they're shifting their focus to consumer leasing, usage-based products, and new mobility solutions, basically in transition and part of a multi-year co-branded agreement, looking to offer an improved retail experience, financing experience. They're going to manage their current loans until the April transition, and then, all the things will happen with that. Basically, they're talking about this being a union of great strengths, supporting our brands, dealers, and customers. So
it's interesting to me. The timing is interesting, especially in a time where, obviously there's volatility in interest rates and lending and things of that nature, and passing it on to Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has been an OEM marker because they are such a broad spectrum lender and lend across credit tiers. But still interesting for Volkswagen to move this. The one that got me in there was the note about usage-based products.
Yeah, what?
Like, there's a good chance leaning on, like financing usage-based products, making sure that you have the leverage, like understanding that from
Well, what do they mean by usage? What do they mean by usage based? Like how much you use the vehicle?
Oh, it must be, yeah. Or well, it wouldn't be subscription, but something where finance needs to focus on something else. You know what I mean? That looks like there's a whole bunch of upside, a whole bunch of upside with not a lot of cancellations. You know what I mean?
I guess so. Speaking of, I don't know, it's not really cancellations, but speaking of the way consumers think about things.
Yeah.
Segue.
It's pretty revealing, actually. A new report from Edmunds is highlighting the growing disconnect between what car shoppers want to pay and the prices they are encountering in the market today. According to Edmunds, the average trade-in age for new vehicles is 6 years now, meaning many shoppers returning to buy a car now bought their last car in 2018. Prices were a little different then. Basically, 64% of used car buyers are looking to spend under $20,000. Good luck. And 50% targeting $15,000 or less. Problem is only 5% of transactions were even below $10,000, with an average used car costing $26,900. Similarly, 48% of new car buyers want to spend $35,000 or less, but the average new car is a tick higher at $47,700, with no vehicles or almost no vehicles under $20,000 new vehicles. Basically, 73% of respondents delayed buying a vehicle due to high prices, 62% due to high interest rates, and more than half are cutting other expenses or working extra hours to even be able to afford a car. Jessica Caldwell Edmunds, head of Insight, said, quote, consumers are likely being forced into trade-offs, selecting different brands, older vehicles, or even postponing purchases, which is something you've been talking about for a while.
Well, yeah. And you're starting to see more buyers enter the market because they're kind of required to, right? You get to that 6-year timeline. Maybe the loan is up, you have some equity, or maybe the vehicle isn't operating the way you wanted it to because it was a used vehicle. But yeah, when you look at the market and you purchased 6 years ago when interest rates were, 1, 2, 3, 4%, and you had a vehicle that was, significantly less in price, average prices were a lot closer to 20 grand for used cars and not 27 grand. I mean, that's a whole, that's $125 in payment for most people, right? Just in that increase over time. But what this points to for me is a realignment of your used car inventory and starting to recognize that finding those vehicles that are in a price point that will move faster, that will sell faster, that will most likely maintain higher margins because of the demand on those vehicles is really, really important. Even though it's difficult to find that vehicle, but going seeking out and finding that. Actually, I was talking to someone just last week where you look at Carvana and CarMax starting to index a lot lower for vehicle prices. And so I think we should follow that trend because they're following the market and where the market's demanding their price point be.
Yeah, and all that first party data. Look, people still on the sidelines, I think, is part of the upside of this issue, right? When you talk about how many vehicles, what's the SAR going to be, like there are still buyers that are sitting it out, waiting for things to change. When is there supposed to be an interest rate announcement this week? I was on vacation, so I didn't.
It's either this week or next week.
Wednesday?
I can't remember exactly.
Might be tomorrow. We'll
Maybe
figure
it is.
that out.
We'll figure
that out. But either way,
we'll
like that might bring some of the sideline buyers in, even though like that quarter point's not.
It's probably going to be
a difference.
I don't think it's going to be a half point right off the bat, especially
even so
the election.
Like, what does that actually, right? Especially, but what does that actually do to a rate? But I think it's a mental state that people are like, okay, things are getting better. It's an economic signal. Speaking of economic signals, oh boy,
segue.
So in a related story, a new report from the Financial Times highlights the growing burden of auto loan debt, which now accounts for, get this, 9% of household debt, second only to mortgages and surpassing student loans.
Whoa.
Auto loan delinquencies are also nearing record high levels set during the 2009 financial crisis, as many struggle to keep up with large payments. Buyers who have purchased during the COVID pandemic at inflated prices now are facing significant negative equity. I was talking to a dealer just last week about that reality, like happening in their showroom, and then trying to figure out how to get people out of negative equity. Fewer prime buyers are losing their vehicles compared to 2009, but the total automotive debt has reached 1.6 trillion as of September of last year. So still just like a massive amount of debt, higher DTI, higher higher debt on the actual auto purchase. So just that's in the consumer's mindset as well in relation to that last story.
I mean, first of all, the fact that school loans were number 2 is kind of a little bit of a wake-up call for me.
A little bit of wake-up call, yeah.
But now that seeing, like we always talk about, and you hear the rhetoric a lot saying like, this is the second largest purchase someone's going to make. And it is now also the second largest payment someone is likely to have. And so again, it's the same, we're singing off the same song sheet. Understanding this is the challenge. This is no surprise to anyone that's on the desk, anyone that's on the front lines every day, but letting people know that you understand this out front positions you back to the beginning of the show.
That's right.
It positions you as the guide in the story, right? The customer's the hero. They have a problem, something standing in their way of getting it. And you come along as the guide that can give them a plan of action that calls them into the story where they get the car, kids get the practice, they win the girl, they have the baby and have a way to move it around the world, right? Like there's a lot in there. And we say it all the time. Every part of life is connected to this industry, which is the coolest thing ever.
I don't have much more to add except for I just love that that's what we get the opportunity as an industry to give consumers every single day. So
we do. And the opportunities keep coming. They're walking in your door. They're submitting leads on your website right now. And all those people that work for you, take care of them so they can take care of them. Know what we're saying? We'll see you here tomorrow. Have an awesome day.
Leave the